My name is Melinda Jarrett, and I'm the co-president of the Maison Doucet Hennessy House Association in Bathurst, New Brunswick. This house was built in 1808 by Charles Doucet, who was an Acadian pioneer who originally settled this area following the Acadian expulsion. This is an important historic building, and we're really concerned about its future. We want you to help us raise enough money to keep this building going. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the building and the reason why it's so important to the history of this community and the history of northern New Brunswick. This house was originally built by a man by the name of Charles Doucet. He was an Acadian pioneer who had escaped the expulsion and made his way up through to Bathurst, which was then called Nipisiguit, through Prince Edward Island and then to Miscou, and then he made his way here in 1781. It took him about 9 years before he was able to put together a petition for a land grant, and then another 17 years before the land grant was eventually granted to him. This spot right here where this house is, at the top of St. Peter Avenue in Bathurst, New Brunswick, in 1807 by King George III. In 2011, we had a dendrochronological study done by Mount Allison University's MAD Lab, in which they were able to discern that there was wood in the foundation of this building dating back to 1808. Now that ties in quite nicely with the land grant of 1807 that was given to Charles Doucet by King George III. So we do have evidence to suggest that this house, the original building, was built in 1808. We do know that there were at least 3 iterations of the house between 1808 and 1858. And what we see here today is the building that eventually came to be known as the Doucet Hennessy House, which we believe has a foundation of 1808, some parts 1837, and another section of it 1858. It is by far one of the oldest continuously occupied houses in the Bathurst area, and it is an important heritage building because it stands at the crossroads of New Brunswick's history. Quite literally, it is like a sentinel at the top of one of the highest parts of the city. There is no other place in the city of Bathurst that has a higher, better view of all 4 corners, north, south, east, and west. And it is an important building because the people who lived in it over the generations had an important role to play in the economic, social, and cultural life of this city. One of the most important parts of the Doucet Hennessy House story is its relationship to the Catholic Church across the street, Holy Family Church. Way back in the corner over there, which I'm looking at right now, is the graveyard, the historic graveyard for Holy Family Church that dates back to 1793. Now, the Doucets and all of the generations that followed are all buried in that graveyard, but so too are the ancestors of the Hennessys and who are the Irish-Scottish Hennessys, because one thing that's very fascinating about Bathurst and its sort of cross-cultural history is that you have Acadians who are Catholic, and you've got Irish and Scottish who are Catholic, but they speak English, and they're all attending church together, and they're all friends. They are what you call co-religionists. They work together outside of church, they attend church, where Latin is being spoken, and they attend each other's weddings. They are best man and best woman at weddings. They are godmothers and godfathers. So there's a lot of mixing up of the two different, the Acadians and the Irish and the Scottish Catholics, and that history carries through to today. And what's so fascinating, I find, is that Mr. Doucet, who built this house, before he died, he had given the parcel of land where the Holy Family Church is right now. And one of the things that he asked for in his will was that a Mass be said in perpetuity. So that would be 999 years in his name, at least once a year. So to this day, at Holy Family Church, there is a Mass said in the name of Charles Doucet. I just think that's an amazing part of our story here that still carries through to today. Just imagine, here we are over 160 years since Mr. Doucet died, and they're still remembering him. And we are remembering him, and we're remembering all those people who came before us by working very hard to preserve this house and what the symbol that it stands for in this city as an important representative of that cross-cultural connection between Acadians Irish, and Scottish. We're in part of the house that has not been lived in for about 50 years now, since the early 60s. This is what we talk about when we say challenges. This area is going to require a little bit of work, but it's part of this second floor that we believe can be turned into studio space for artists. Creative, cultural space for artists. The rooms are big. There are 7 large rooms up here. Each one we can see having internet access, beautifully restored, inspiring for artists to live in a place with such a storied history. And of course, though, as you can see, I mean, we're looking at original horsehair plaster. The wallpaper is peeled off. This is the the layers and layers and layers of wallpaper. All of this is going to have to be taken away and replaced with drywall and plaster, and then wallpapered with 1850 style wallpaper, so that it looks like it would have looked like in the 1850s. And so we have a lot of work to do, but and it does look challenging, and it is a challenge, but we are up to the challenge, but we need your help. We are spending all our time fundraising right now. It's a huge problem. We're fundraising just to get the money to keep the lights on. You get the money to pay the electricity bill, but so you're spending all your time focusing all your energy on raising money, selling tickets on guitars, which is a wonderful idea, having events, musical events, fundraisers with the support of our local community. They're very supportive, but $300 and $400 and $500 is just not going to allow us to get the breather, give us some space where we can actually sit down and work on the things that need to be done. The applications for example, heritage status, huge jobs. Can't be done when we're spending all our time trying to raise $500 on a breakfast or a fundraiser for a musical group, or we just don't have the human resources and the time and the energy. So what we're asking for you through this campaign is to help us raise $70,000. That's what we need. That would give us the chance to step back and take a big look at the macro picture, because this is a house that has an important role to play in the history of this part of the province. It was at the crossroads of our history of Anglophone and Francophone New Brunswick history in the northern part of New Brunswick. There is no other house quite like it that has this story. It has an amazing Acadian history, no doubt about it, built by Charles Doucet, and it also has a wonderful Scottish-Irish history that blends together in a cross-cultural relationship of cooperation that really symbolizes what Bathurst, New Brunswick is all about.
Thank you.